co-teaches a course on conflict management department at Ben Gurion University in Israel and on the evaluation of peace education sports program. And he's going to talk to us today about coexistence with children through sports and soccer.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Steph, for helping bring me here, and also thanks to the committee for such a wonderful event that you put on. It's a small group. If you don't want to take my jacket off. And, well, the tie, I'll tell you about the tie. You know, there's this story that there was, talking about Arabs and Jews getting along together. There's a story of the Arab man who was lost in the desert, and he was hungry, tired, thirsty, and he's walking around and he finds a stand, and there's an old Jewish man there, and he says, please, the Arab man says, I'm thirsty and hungry, and he says, I'm sorry, I don't have any food or water, but I can sell you this tie for $40. He says, a tie? I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, give me food, give me water. He says, all I have are ties, I can sell you a tie for $40. And he's angry, I want food, I want water. And the old man says, listen, my brother, he has a beautiful restaurant, it'll just take you a half hour to walk there, plenty of food and drink, go there. So about an hour later, the Arab man comes back, angry, he says, give me that tie. Your brother won't let me in the restaurant without a tie. So I read the tie. But first I want to talk about my talk about the talk, and then tell you a little bit more about myself, and then get into some of this research that I want to share with you, some information really in depth about trying to improve relations between Arabs and Jews, Palestinians and Israelis through sports. But first, about the talk. Here in Santa Barbara and at Chico State where I teach, we have a lot of problems with a lot of anti-Israel presentations. Very venomous, actually. Some of them are the BDS movements everywhere. And we had a couple of Israeli soldiers come up to Chico State this past week and gave a talk, and they were talking about, the 10-80-10. 10-80-10, because we were expressing our frustration that some people, they're just so anti-Israel, and they said, it's like this, it's a 10-80-10. There's 10% who, no matter what you say, they won't listen to you. They hate Israel, that's it, they're Montana. Then there's the other 10%, they're totally with you. They support Israel. You don't even have to tell them. And then there's the 80% that know nothing. They know nothing about it. And that's the 80% that you should really try to reach. Now I just want to see what I have in the room today. Usually at talks at universities I'm talking to the 80%, but I have a feeling it's not the case today. So I want you to vote here, put yourself in one of these three categories. Are you the 10% that's with Israel, 10% against Israel, or 80% that's like really doesn't know much? So how many of you would say you're the 10% with Israel? Well, it's 100%. Okay. So then let me tell you about why this talk is important for you. Because we need to change the dynamic. We need to change the discussion about Israel. It shouldn't be us reacting to negative things or negative actions that people are trying to take against Israel. We should have our own discussion, our own presentations about positive things in Israel, things that people don't know about. And this is one of them. It doesn't get much exposure in the media, all these programs trying to improve relations between Arabs and Jews. But they're there, and there is so much effort going into it, so many Israelis giving their life toward this cause. People don't know about it, people know it. We need to, things like this, we need to educate people. Now, I can share this with you today. You can share this with many people, everyone you know. You can talk about this. It may not convince that 10%, but it can sure help work on that 80% out there. As I know, Steph, you're working at the university against maybe upcoming BBS, this can be very helpful. So that's how this is so important. Now, what brought me to this? To doing research on the effects of sports programs, the attitudes of Arabs and Jews toward each other. What brought me to this? Well, I saw some research years ago, back in 1994, 1996, where they were doing research every few years on teenagers in Israel, Arab and Jewish, on their attitudes toward each other. And this is what the research showed. It showed that the majority of Arab teenagers said that they don't hate Jews. But the majority of Arabs also said, we think most Jews hate all or most Arabs. On the Jewish side, the majority of Jewish teenagers said, we do not hate Arabs. But the majority of Jews said, we think all or most Arabs hate Jews. Now I want to ask you, what is your interpretation of that? Why do we get those results? I mean, each side, the majority is saying, we think the other side hates us, but on each side they're saying, we don't hate them. So what's the reality? What do you think is going on?
Well, there's a huge communication problem to start with, so that they never have a chance to test their perception against reality.
And they never have interpersonal connections with one another. It's always with the other side. They look at the other side thinks about them.
Which Arabs were these?
Propaganda on each side.
Propaganda students.
Yeah, so they get it from the generation before them.
West Bank?
They don't talk to each other, they only hear what's been talked about them.
Michael, what's happening in the mixed cities? Mixed cities, like around there, like Jerusalem? What's the percentage?
Well, even in the mixed cities, there really are separate neighborhoods, Jewish and Arab. It really, Jews and Arabs don't live, together for the most part in Israel. I would agree with much of what you're saying. In theory, then we would think if you bring together people in a positive way, then hopefully it will change attitudes. Well, now I'm going to go back many years, and then I'll get to the current research. In 1997, we were living in Israel. Actually, we've lived in Israel 3 times for a year at a time, and we're there every summer, every winter. We're there quite a bit doing this research. Anyway, in 1997, I was teaching at the Wingate Institute. We did a research study, not with kids, but with senior citizens, because one of my specialties is therapeutic recreation, specifically adapted recreational activities for older adults. So we did a project with my students at Wingate. We brought together Jewish senior citizens from Tel Aviv and Arab senior citizens from Yafo for intergenerational recreational activities. So now, I was thinking no one had really tried like a mixed program with older people, only with kids. Let's see if it could work with older adults. Anyway, we interviewed the 2 sides before we started the program. The Jewish senior citizens, they said, and remember, in 1997, 98, there were a lot of suicide bombings in Israel. It was not such a great time. Many of the Jewish senior citizens said, Arabs? We don't know Arabs. We're afraid of Arabs. They blow up our buses. And they said, yeah, but you look like a nice boy. We'll volunteer for the program. And we actually had more people volunteer to be in this program than we could have actually were able to participate. On the Arab side, many of the Arab senior citizens said, the Jews, they stole our land. My relatives live in Lebanon now. I can never see them. We don't like, but they said, all right, we'll do the program. We'll try it out.
Are these Arabs from
Yafo.
From Yafo, okay.
And so every week for an entire semester, we had buses bringing Jewish senior citizens to Yafo to do programs with these Arab senior citizens. And my students at Wingate thought I was a little bit naive and crazy, like, why? Do you think that, because the Arab senior citizens, they were dressed in a full-length dress, and many of them were quite heavy, and they just didn't look like people that would play and have fun. But they did. We did things with Nerf balls, and the smiles and the laughs, it was amazing. But anyway, on the pre-tests and the interviews, just like the teenagers, there was a minority that said, you know, we hate the other, but a majority saying, we think the other hates us, and also they said, we don't trust the other. We did the program every week. By the end of the semester, we did post-test, and we found with the older people, they changed dramatically. They went from minority hating the other to 0% hating the other. Went from a majority thinking the other hates them, that's not me, to a very small minority thinking that the other hates them, and a many more thinking, feeling trust in the other. Yeah.
Where did the funding come from?
I got a small grant from an organization called the Feldman Foundation in Texas, and they worked at Wingate, and I was teaching a class at Wingate, a seminar class, and the students were my research and programming assistants. It was a neat project. Anyway,
One other question. So when you're talking about seniors,
yeah.
what age group are you talking about?
The Jewish ones were more, I would say, 75 and over. The Arabs, some of them, you know, maybe looked from a distance like they were old, but they really weren't as old as they looked from a distance. They might have been only like 60, but no, some of them, you know, were well into the 70s and 80s as well.
Is there a demographically, is there a difference in life expectancy, even if Israeli Jews, Israeli Arabs?
I believe there is some, but I'm not sure exactly how great that is.
Do you know how much of the group lived in like the area prior to 1948?
How many live in there? That I don't know. But, you know, the Jewish old people are so mixed with so many people.
Did you ever try this with the leaders of these countries?
Play Nerf ball, yeah.
But you know that saying, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks, so false. These people really change their attitudes. And that gave me a lot of hope that, you know what, these things can work if they're done right. If they're done right. Now that's a big if. Sometimes they're not done right. Anyway, and we had about 100 people involved in this program. We had, you know, research, we had statistically significant differences in attitude tests.
Do they still good, or you just finished the research and finished?
You know, unfortunately, that program didn't continue after I went back to the States, but there are so many other programs going on, you know, with this bringing together Arabs and Jews, so many which I can just touch on a few of these today. I work currently with 3 different programs, and that's going to be the main focus of what I share with you today. 3 programs that deal more with young people. But look, if it worked with older people, we know that we can definitely change attitudes. So now I'm going to go up to like the current. Currently, there are many programs bringing together youth. And I said, but they have to be done right. Now, one professor, a colleague of mine, said to me, you know, I'm very left-wing, and so I had my son go into a soccer program and play with Arabs. But, he said, the Arab kids, they played against each other. And he said the Arabs were cheating and hitting, and it was very unpleasant. They were very aggressive, and it was very unpleasant for my son, and he didn't want to go back. He said he went once or twice, and he quit. Another colleague said, you know, I'm very left-wing, and my daughter went, and she said she was shocked. She was in the Arab school, and the teacher was hitting the kids with a stick, and then when they were leaving on the bus, the Arab kids were throwing rocks at the bus. My daughter didn't want her to go back. So these things do exist as well. It doesn't always work so well. It has to be done right. You know, yeah, okay. So there are many programs. There's soccer, there's basketball, there's ultimate frisbee, there's music programs, art, there's so many programs. But, you know, I looked at all these programs, but I couldn't find, I'm going back now about 3 years to 2000, I couldn't find any research that was actually done examining on the participants the effects of the programs on their attitudes. So is it working? You know, is it really working? That's a key question. So let me, just so you can visualize it better, let me play a very short little DVD I have on the 3 programs that I currently work with. And let's see. I'm going to turn the volume all the way down. I'm going to narrate a little. Okay. So, the first program you're going to see is something called the Friendship Games. The Friendship Games, and this is me at the opening night of the Friendship Games at their opening party. Okay. The Friendship Games is for college-age basketball players. They come from many different countries, including Jordan, Palestinians, they've been from Turkey in the past. And the idea is they have a 1-week basketball tournament. They all live together in the same hotel. They have a lot of social activities. And the idea is that through this, peace through basketball. Now here it is the first night, and I'm calling out to them. I'm trying to do like a mixer, an icebreaker game. And I'm trying to get them to talk to each other. But they're not moving and they're not talking to each other. And I want to show you, this is some of the challenges in these programs. Why? Well, for one, this whole program is conducted in English, because that's the only language they all know. But not all of them are so good in English. And so it's difficult to talk to each other. I mean, wouldn't you rather talk to someone in your native language? So that's its challenge, and they just don't know each other, so I'm trying really hard here on the first day to get them mixed together, but they're not really integrating. And the thing about this basketball tournament, it is one country against another because they can't get the Arab countries to come unless they do it that way. They can't say, oh, this is for peace. They have to entice them. Now there's a really good shot coming up here. I don't know who made this shot, but God, I don't know, it looks familiar. Actually, this is, you're going to see, this is Palestinians against Lithuania. And I got to be an honorary member of the Palestinian team. Now you're going to see the Palestinian women against the Israeli women. The Palestinians didn't quite play by the rules, and they brought a lot of players to the games that week that weren't really basketball players, and they didn't really have anyone on the bench that could shoot the ball, so they would be on the team. But I have to tell you that with all this research I do, and all the statistics, there's nothing more powerful I did than to play with the Palestinians and make that shot and have them all yelling and screaming, Michael, Michael. The bonding that I had with those guys was priceless, and I can see really the value of sport and bringing people together. Here, this is something totally different. I work also with the Paris Center for Peace. This is the last activity of the school year where these are Arab and Jewish kids together. They play soccer and other sports during the year. At the end of the year, they had a pool party, and they did some, get acquainted and memory games together in small circles. They get these kids together once a month for activities, and these kids are ages 8 to 15. Mainly sports, but they do these kind of social recreational activities. And I'll tell you later about some of the research results, findings from what effects the program has on these kids. Next, what you're going to see is really a very big program from an organization called Mifalot. And Mifalot has very large-scale soccer programs that bring together Palestinian, Jordanian, Israeli Arab, and Jewish Israeli kids, just for soccer. They're a soccer organization. And they mix the teams. They really do it right. I'm working currently with Mifalot, evaluating the effects of this 3-year program they have called United Soccer for Peace. And we want to see and make sure that the program is having a positive impact, and also to see how we can improve the program and make it more effective. But this program I'm working with now, in total, is designed to reach 40,000 kids, 40,000 people altogether. 40,000. The research part of it that I'm doing is very important. If we can show concrete, positive results from the program, it's likely they'll get funding for an even bigger program after this 3 years.
Where does it take place?
It takes place, they have different locations throughout the country. They've got a program that's mainly like based in Beersheba with Bedouins and Israeli Jews. They've got a program near Renana, and Arabs from nearby towns come, and they've got one in the north.
So it's all within Israel.
What's that?
All within Israel.
All within Israel. So the Arabs come to, well, they come to the Jewish cities for the programs. So the programs are based in the Jewish cities. This young man helped his father bring he came from Jericho, and he was saying he came from Jericho and it was a really nice day. Anyway, that just gives you a little idea of what it looks like. Yes?
Are you also looking at the long-term impact, that after they're done with the program and they've gone back to their communities and are not participating, does it have a lasting impact?
Yes, although unfortunately that is more difficult to research because it's difficult to track people down. You know, when they're in the program, it's easier, but we are trying to do that. I am currently also, besides working at Chico State, in between semesters and in the summer, I'm co-teaching a class for Ben Gurion University at their Lot campus, and it's a graduate class, and the students in that class are doing research under me, examining the effects, you know, not just with questionnaires, but interviewing people, and they're interviewing people, let's say, from last year who were in the program to see, you know, how it's going. So, I didn't analyze it yet, but just yesterday I got a new batch of data from the fellow to analyze it and know about.
2 questions. Do they do programs with parents, and do the kids, while they're in the programs, do you see that they have like play dates outside of the programs, or the kids get invited to each other's birthday parties, that kind of stuff?
You know, that's a weak spot in the program. Unfortunately, they don't get together outside of the program. There's logistical problems, you know, live in different places, so that doesn't happen. With the parents, some of the programs have done things with the parents. This program I'm working with now is kind of unique. What it's doing, and it's a really smart approach. First, we're training every year 25 Jewish coaches and 25 Arab coaches. So notice we have 25 Jews and 25 Arabs. They're going through a year-long coaching certification course. As part of that course, they get a course in peace education. When they graduate from the course and become certified soccer coaches, then they can get grants from the fellow organization to do tournaments and events that bring together Jewish and Arab kids for soccer. But in theory, having this peace education, they'll be better equipped to do the programs well and get the kids really interacting, make a positive impact. Yeah.
The Arabs ever invite you to their homes or their village?
Yes. And I have to say, I've had some really, Sarah and I've had some really wonderful experiences, you know, they're very hospitable. You know, I don't know if this is a fair stereotype of the Jewish mother, that they just want to feed you. Is that fair? Jewish mother, they want to feed you.
I think it's a good thing. Like Greek moms, Italian moms, I think it's another thing.
Well, I found that's how the Arab women were, you know? It's just nice. I mean, I felt very welcomed. It's not always an American thing, though.
No.
Sometimes you go to someone's house, they don't offer you drinking water. But no, they really don't.
They're not.
Show a British person's house, they feed you all.
You know, it's like they took pride in hosting and wanted to show me, show us, that we're good people, we're nice people, and we want us to like them.
So, working with the kids in that program who were all living in Israel, so you didn't have the same problems with communication, right? Were they all fluent in both Arabic and Hebrew?
The kids, for the most part, the Arab kids, do learn Hebrew, but some of them, their Hebrew isn't so good. And the Jewish kids don't, for the most part, know Arabic. And, going back to the program of the senior citizens, that was really hard because the Jewish older adults, they didn't know Arabic, and the Arab older adults didn't know Hebrew. And so can you imagine what we did? We did activities that were like dancing in chairs, or, like throwing Nerf balls into a hoop and things. But the thing was that they shared a laugh together, they shared a good time together, and that was enough conflict to change their attitudes. And with these kids, it's like, it's the playing. It's like when I was playing with the Palestinians in a basketball game, now the Lithuanian team, they were so big and so fast. I never played basketball against such good basketball players. It was like scary. They're coming down the court, dribbling the ball. Next thing you know, they're by you. And anyway, it was like almost like a little war, But I was on the side of the Palestinians on this one. And so it bonded me with them, which was a great thing. Before the game, we were saying, look, the Palestinians, they didn't really bring basketball players, and it just wasn't right, and all this, but anyway, my attitude's changed. I don't know if are you interested in seeing, what some of the research results are?
Yes.
So, I'm talking here, or I'm showing you from the big research studies I did the year 2011 to 2012, but I have been continuing and I'm currently doing research with these programs today. Okay, so why, I'm going to ask you this question. Why was there no research? I said there was no research until I started doing these studies. There's no research on the effects of the programs on attitudes toward each other. There's no research. All these programs, but no research. Why do you think there's no research?
Well, I think people often have good ideas and good intentions when they want to do something, positive, whether it's coexistence or something else, and they often don't think through to the later stages. I'll see whether it works. I think lay people often just sit there and watch kids play, and then that's the end result for many people, rather than figuring out what it does after they get off.
That's one reason. Steph?
I have a question. Are most of these programs run by Israelis, or most of them run by international, like Americans or British people?
Well, most of the programs are run by Israelis. Many of the programs are funded by Israeli organizations or worldwide Jewish organizations, in some cases by US, like USAID, or European Union or Germany, NGOs, with no funding coming from Arab countries, unfortunately. But yeah, on the ground, the Israeli organizations do have Arabs who are working with them and cooperating with them.
So the answer, my answer is you need to find a curious researcher, and the researcher needs to find funding.
Hit the nail on the head there. Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, most of the conversation surrounds the conflict itself, and resolution related to land swaps and related to how adults will deal with it rather than how kids could deal with it. There isn't like a long-term plan necessarily.
Yeah. Well, you're all right. You're all correct. There's funding for the programs, there's not funding for the research. That's one problem. Another is a lack of trust, sometimes on part of the programming people, of the researchers. Sometimes, people come from the US, professors, and they've got their own ideas and they're trying to prove their own point. And I ran into that, I was, not asking for funding from some of these organizations. I'm going to do this research, and then they were thinking like maybe I'm trying to prove something against them because they've had that happen. They've been burned. So that's a problem also. I also had people say, it's not going to, even though these people, some of them, they're working with us for many years, they become jaded and they're saying, you're not going to find results. You think someone's going to admit on a questionnaire that they hate Jews? They're not going to. Actually, they were very wrong. Because I'm going to say here, there's good news and bad news. I'll tell you the bad news first. I did my research with children. I told you about 1994, I started with research on teenagers. The children expressed way more hatred toward each other than the teenagers did. Way more. But the good news is, they changed dramatically as a result of participation in programs. In fact, I just want to share this one little gem. There are many studies I did, or I have been doing these past few years. In one of them, just to show how amazing I think, there was in one of the Arab samples, 65% of the kids who had not played with Jews, 65% said they hated all or most Jews. And after participating with Jewish kids, it was 0% saying they hate all or most Jews. So dramatic, yeah.
Where do you find the kids to participate?
Well, they work in different communities, and they try to do it also for kids that maybe aren't so privileged in the smaller communities in Virginia, where there are maybe Arabs living in close proximity to Jews, so it's easy logistically to get them together. And they, kids love, like for example, with me fellow parent, they love soccer, so they can get kids to play soccer. Not because they want to do something with Arabs or Jews necessarily, but because they love soccer.
Did you have to get the parental consent to do all the research with the kids?
Yeah, they took care of all of that from LA.
Not about any other team building exercises that you could do with the kids besides soccer. I mean, soccer's very popular. What about team building exercises where they have to use each other to reach a goal? I don't know. I mean,
Yes, in fact, look, it's getting late in the day, so I'm going to do an example of one of them with you right now. Because it's more than the sports. It's important to do something that's just cooperative, right? Do you mind? I'll stand up for a moment. Okay? I'm going to ask you, and this is something they do, we only have enough people for one team, but they'll do this with 2 teams. It's a competition. But I'm going to ask you, as quickly as possible, I want you to join hands and make a circle. So if you can imagine, we do this. Oh, it's an oval. It's something.
Line dance.
We could. Would you like to do that? But anyway, how about, okay, now see if as a group you can make the shape of a tennis racket.
You would do that.
I would. I guess that works. It's a really big racket head. Super oversized.
It's an overhead.
Okay.
Oversized.
Let me give you one more. If you can form the shape of the letter Z.
Holding hands, is everyone holding hands like this?
Well, I guess some people maybe won't hold hands.
Okay, let's go.
We go that way.
Alright, so the top of the Z, so the top of the Z over there,
4 people stand in the straight line here.
you'll have diagonal.
So you guys are in for it. A diagonal line here. Yeah. And then 4 people in the back.
Diagonal, and then switch, yeah, then switch that.
You guys can fill in, you can see when we're on this side or when we're on the end there.
You have to be able to speak to each other to do this one.
Okay, you see, okay, so it's like activities like this, and this is my field, recreation, it's how can we bring together people, get them interacting in a therapeutic way that makes them feel better toward each other. Now, I'll just give you one more, a different activity, just as an example. again, what we do is we mix the groups, so it's not Arabs against Jews, it's combined teams. But these kinds of icebreakers are the things that really, help solidify relationships. So this one is called quick lineup. And so we have 2 teams, let's say. And it'll be the first team to follow the instruction correctly, but we'll just do this with one team. I want you to line up in order, okay, from here to there, lightest hair color to darkest hair color.
First, second, third.
Yeah, I'm kind of by far.
You're like,
Yeah, I think you're on the later side. I don't know, I think your hair is that darker than that.
Your highlights are
Okay, so we'll do, you seem to enjoy, let's do just one more. Let's go.
Let's try something that doesn't work.
We're just great, right over.
Programs that don't work, what doesn't work?
When you have one team against another, that's, some programs did this. Arab kids playing against Jewish kids in soccer. I mean, just think, what, do the Dodger fans like the Angels fans?
It's more San Francisco
Giants.
The Giants are in the same state.
And the Dodgers pay money for bringing their kids to the club.
These programs are generally funded and it's,
So it's all free.
it's free.
They bus them to the.
Yeah, they provide everything. It's very expensive, but, fortunately we're getting, funding for it.
Did you have any, like, pass-through research where these groups that play soccer and talk to other people and influence them?
Well, that's the theory. That's what we're hoping for. That's harder to assess. You can all sit down.
Oh, are they really? They're like the little there or whatever. That's not what they are? Oh, got it. I have a question.
You wear them when you like.
So, it still sounds funny, but I play soccer and I'm also a referee. Would I want to be a referee between an Arab and an Israeli team?
Between?
Listen to the
Yeah, we want them to be mixed teams. That's what we want. That's what we want. Now, let me tell you about the friendship games again. So here's the thing. We can't get the Arabs to come to the friendship games, for example, by telling them in advance, oh, you're going to be playing together, mixed teams. No, it's like they come because they have the opportunity for the honor of their country to win a trophy. But here's what we do. Okay, there is a basketball tournament, and there are teams of separate countries. But on the very second day of this week, we have a street ball tournament. Street ball is half-court basketball, 3-on-3. And those 3-on-3 teams are comprised of 2 men, 1 woman, and all 3 are from different countries. Now, and they're all good basketball players. And the mutual respect, so you see, like the first day they're not friends. They're not friends. They're standoffish to each other. The street ball brings them together. They have respect. Hey, this person made a lot of good shots, helped our team. And from then on, the rest of the week, it was so much better. And we have pool parties and cruises and all kinds of great things. Look at the difference that Americans can, okay, we're talking all day, I hope you weren't getting pessimistic from all the talks today. Because I know we heard a lot of things, there are a lot of problems, okay, but we can do something about it. Ed Peskowitz, he's a co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks basketball team, American guy. He funds this whole friendship games, that's his baby. And he's doing such a wonderful thing by doing it. Every year, we get all these, really, we get a big, big change in attitudes among these athletes.
I think he actually just took his players to the Holocaust Museum in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
So he's one of the huge coaches owners that requires him to do that.
He's a great guy.
So you probably heard of the program Seeds of Peace?
Yeah.
So, and I understand the long-term research on that was that it was not effective.
Yeah, I know.
So just for people who don't know, that was bringing Arabs and Israeli Jews to Boston to have a soccer camp, basically.
Okay,
And-
but I want to tell you something about long-term effects.
Mhm.
That program I told you about with the older adults, I went back the next year, a whole year later. We did interviews with several hundred people, and we found significant differences. Those that were in our program, attitudes much more positive than the ones that weren't. So, a whole year later, it still had that impact. You know, Seeds of Peace is a small program. I mean, it works intensively with a small number of it's tougher to really research it accurately when you have smaller numbers. Yeah, no.
I was actually just gonna ask about this, if there's research about programs that happen outside of Israel, because I have a friend who did like I don't know if it was like a cruise or a travel program that brought together Israelis and Palestinians, or Israeli Jews and Israeli Muslim Arabs, whatever like terms you want to use. But so I was curious, I guess, and I wonder, I think that there's like a lot that could probably contribute to the fact that Seeds of Peace deemed itself to be unsuccessful, but are there other examples that did work, or is there just not a lot of research about it, so?
You know, I've published articles and research journals on these studies I've done. There are a lot of theoretical articles in the journals. I haven't seen anyone that's done like what I've done, actually researching the effects of a program. You know, another reason why there's very little research is another reason. It's very difficult to do. Kids come to play, they don't come to be subjects in a research study. You know, a big mistake a lot of professors make, they've got these super long questionnaires, nobody's going to fill them out. You know, I simplified this to a one-page, you know, the most essential items. Me followed, and the other, they were so smart and clever how they did what they do. How did they get 100% response rate? They gave the questionnaires, and when the kids arrived on the buses to where they're playing, they gave the questionnaires to the program leader. The program leader gave it to the kids while they were still on the bus, and they said, "You can't get off the bus and play until you fill this out." And that's how I got 100% response rate.
Did you ever try to ask funding from rich West Bank Arabs?
I am told by the organizations that I work with that they tried, and also with rich Israeli Arabs.
They never do.
They haven't.
You should try harder. Because those are so good, doing so much. I mean, they can give some money.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's any other incentive programs like this that are outside of sports and outside of teenagers or older people?
Well, there's this great music program, you know, that Jewish Arab musicians, you know, they have a ballroom dance. There's even a computer program where it's like a computer course for Jewish Arab kids. There really are a lot of different programs. A lot. And that's a whole other presentation you can give, actually. There's so many programs. You know, what I didn't mention also, and this is just one of the beautiful things of Israel. I am so proud. The people that I work with in Israel, they're giving their heart and soul to this. They believe in it. And, you know, the Israelis, I find tend to be very self-critical. You know, when there are problems, they blame themselves. They don't blame the Arabs. They're just, you know, very, I'd say, loving people. Sarah and I just have completed a new book, just sent it to the publisher last week. It's called Israeli Life and Leisure in the 21st Century. And in that book, we have 53 chapters written by different Israeli authors, including ourselves, some chapters. But we talk not only about these peace programs, but other things in Israel that people just don't know about. I'm talking about changing the tone, changing the subject or the topic of the talk about Israel. Israel is dehumanized because the only thing talked about ever, it seems, is politics. It becomes just a political entity, not a place where people live. And it's a place where people live well, people are doing wonderful things. And we need to get that message out and educate people what people are doing, including these great programs to promote better relations between two groups.
Well, I'd just like to say, I think what you're doing is really inspiring, and I hope you get to, speak about it on a lot of campuses, because I really think it's important that we do begin to focus on the positive and not always on the politics. Politics are very important, but so is this.
And I do want to ask you to think about this, how this relates to the politics. Now, why is this so important? If we change attitudes of, okay, I'm going to not go through all the slides and all the data, but I'll summarize it. We found some key things. The percentage that hated each other went down. The percentage that thought that the other side hates them went down. The percentage that have trust in the other went up. Now, what impact can that, having many thousands and thousands of Arabs and Jews changing attitudes in this direction, what impact can that have on the possibility for peace?
They will never leave Israel.
They will never leave Israel?
Yeah. No, that is peace.
Well,
Those kids are going to become the next.
No, if you will make a new country for them, they will never go there. That's what will happen.
Significantly increased chance of peace.
Significantly increased chance of peace. I mean,
What peace? They are
if
living
it should
together.
come to, in Israel they said there will be a referendum. If we make a deal with the Palestinians, there will be a referendum. If there's a peace deal with the Palestinians, it's going to involve making significant compromises. It's going to involve giving up sovereignty over a lot of land and so forth. What Israelis are going to vote yes on such a referendum? Israelis that don't trust Arabs, or Israelis that have trust in Arabs? Israelis that think Arabs hate them, or Israelis that think that Arabs don't hate them? You see, it's going to influence that. On the other side, they don't have a democracy. They don't have a democracy, but the leaders are fearful of the reaction of the people. Now, if there have been enough people, there's enough of a base there, that they know the truth. Hey, those Israelis, they're not bad. They're actually good, and I think we can trust them. They're not going to threaten to, murder or assassinate the leader who makes a deal with Israel.
Really?
I mean, but those that hate and think Israel.
Sadat died.
Sadat died, but we didn't have.
just need 10%.
I don't know if it's like this, I don't know how the Palestinians choose their leaders, but in Israel, the joke is like the best way to become the prime minister is to have already been the prime minister. So like even if, 20 years from now, if you have a guy who's like been part of a program like this, and even if he doesn't succeed in round 1, like maybe by round 2 or round 3, you end up with like more, if it continues that the same people are in government over and over and over again, the more people that are exposed to this, the more likely that you'll have solutions that even a persistence to try.
Yes, that's right.
You know?
And if you think about it, if we have a few thousand kids that go through this in the past, that's great. If we have tens of thousands, that's much better. But if we get hundreds of thousands,
Right.
wow.
You have a whole society then.
That's where I'm heading to with this research. If we're showing concrete positive results, we have a basis for asking for more funding from organizations like USAID, increasing these programs and making a greater impact.
Yeah, I would say de facto versus de jure, as they say. So for instance, in our society today, some people say racism is dead. I would argue that's not true at all. Racism is unfortunately alive and well. But what but slavery, was abolished many years ago. So going back to, we can still get peace. They could sign a peace process, but that cannot change the actual attitudes of Israelis and Arabs living in that country. Versus this is what will actually change those feelings.
It's what we need, It's really what we need. I know we've kind of run out of time. Yes,
I just want to ask, this is for a little background. What is the Jewish population of students at Chico State and the community up there, and how did this all come to be?
Well, the Jewish population in Chico State is very small. We have maybe 200 Jewish students, and maybe 50 of them go to our Hillel. We have.
So that's a big percentage.
I'm faculty advisor for the Hillel there, and I'm also faculty advisor for our camera-affiliated Israel Advocacy Group. And the Israel Advocacy Group all the students in it are not Jewish.
Really?
So really, I think to leave this whole day on a positive note, there is something we can do. These programs can work. We can be a part of them. One of the things that we want to do, I work with the Friendship Games. We want to get a California team to the Friendship Games. If not this year, next year. Then the event happens in June. So we really want to get a California team there. Maybe there could be some Santa Barbara players that from the team here that go over to Israel. That's something we can maybe think of as a goal. And we can help out with these programs in various ways. I've had people come from the States, interning with these organizations. And Americans come and play Ultimate Frisbee, this Ultimate Peace. Fantastic sport. Arabs and Jews are playing together. And 15 years ago, people in Israel didn't know what Ultimate Frisbee was. So there's a lot we can do. And I have to say, you were definitely not that 80% that doesn't. You're definitely not only supportive but very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
How would you? I have a friend whose child went to Spain at a summer camp to do basketball. So how would you how could you organize kids to go to Israel? I mean, would it be a camp?
Well, there's many different ways. There actually are camps in Israel in the summer for kids from all over the world. Come to the camps. This Friendship Games, it's a special one. It's just for a week for college age.
Oh, it's a college.
This particular thing is for college age, but there are many camp programs for kids.
I think we're all running out of time. I'm sure that other people probably have questions, but I'll just say that we're running